presented.
Motion made, second. Any questions on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Pilata. At this time, I would invite high school principal, Mrs. Kristen McGill, to the podium. Mrs. McGill will announce to the public our class of 2023 salutatorian and valedictorian and present each of them with a citation from the North Providence School Committee. Mrs. McGill.
Thank you. I've been tasked with a wonderful honor to talk to you about two very special individuals in the class of 2023. Both Priyansi Behera and Jivika Talai Selvam are two students who work hard while always having a smile on their faces. Priya has been quoted to say that she and Jivika balance each other out in the most healthy of ways. Most often, you will find them as a pair. It is a perfect tribute to their friendship that they are the top pair in the class of 2023. I am honored to see their childhood dreams come true, or as I have sometimes called them, the quintessential duo. So just to tell you a little bit about each one of them. So individually, I will talk to you about our salutatorian first, who is Jivika Talai Selvam. Jivika, our salutatorian, has a 4.35 GPA. She has been a member of the National Honor Society, peer mentoring, math club, best buddies, peer tutoring, youth commission, Angel Network, and the Cougar Courier. Jivika will be attending Texas A&M in the fall, where she will major in biomedical science. When you ask the girls about each other, they're basically two halves of the same brain sometimes. One's math science, and one is the humanities. Together, they do make this wonderful pair. So Jivika, if you could come up, I also have a citation from the school committee, which I will read as you come up. The Town of North Providence School Committee citation, be it hereby known to all that the North Providence School Committee hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Jivika Talai Selvam, the North Providence High School Class of 2023 salutatorian. The entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and expresses the hope for continued success. Proposed this 24th day of May, 2023. Jivika? With that being said, our valedictorian. This year, representing the class of 2023, is Priyansi Behera. Our valedictorian has a GPA of 4.36. She has been a member of the National Honor Society, mock trial, model legislature, VASA, peer mentoring, math club, peer tutoring, and Angel Network. Not much time for much else, although she does a lot and always has a smile on her face. Is an excellent dancer, too. She will be attending Roger Williams University in the fall, where she will major in law, and I'm sure we'll see her on the news for very important cases someday. I'd also like to read her address as well. So Priyansi, our valedictorian, is being presented from the Town of North Providence School Committee citation, be it hereby known to all that the North Providence School Committee hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Priyansi Behera, the North Providence High School Class of 2023 valedictorian.
Thank you very much, Mrs. McGill. And congratulations to our valedictorian and salutatorian. We look forward to Senior Honors Night on Thursday, and then, of course, graduation on June 8th. Next, I would invite to the podium high school English teacher and advisor to the Cougar Courier, the high school newspaper, Mr. Michael Gianfrancesco, with information about some achievements regarding our journalism students. Mr. G also will pass out citations from the North Providence School Committee.
Thank you, Superintendent Goho, Assistant Superintendent Sightsinger, Chairman Pilata, members of the school committee, the other town officials, guests, and attendees here this evening. As the advisor for the North Providence High School student-run newspaper, the Cougar Courier, cougarcourier.com, I have the great pleasure and fortune to advise some of our most dedicated and talented students. The Al Neuarth Free Spirit Journalism Conference rewards one 11th grade journalism student from each state who demonstrates the ability to, quote, dream, dare, and do. According to Neuharth himself, who passed away in 2013, a free spirit can also be a risk taker a visionary, an innovative leader, or a courageous achiever who accomplishes great things beyond his or her circumstances. Winners receive an all-expenses-paid trip to Washington, D.C. to participate in panels, workshops, and networking events with students from all over the country, as well as professionals in the journalism field. In addition, winners receive a $1,000 scholarship to use when they go to college the following year. I am thrilled to say that during my tenure as advisor, Cougar Courier editors have won this award 6 times. This year, and that includes the last 2 years, so 2 in a row. But this year, we are proud to announce our 7th winner, making our streak 3 years in a row, Darian Giuliano, 11th grader Darian Giuliano. Darian is a dedicated, energetic, and brilliant young writer and journalist. She served the paper as features editor this year and is stepping up to take the reins as editor-in-chief when she returns in the fall as a senior. Darian took on the rigorous application process involved in winning this award and will be traveling to Washington, D.C. as the Rhode Island representative at the New Hearth Conference on June 24th to the 29th. It is with great pride that I present Darian Giuliano, Rhode Island New Hearth Journalism Scholar for 2023. So Darian, come on. I will read this citation from the school committee. Town of North Providence School Committee, be it hereby known to all that the North Providence School Committee hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Darian Giuliano, recipient of the Al Neuharth Journalism Free Spirit Award. The entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and expresses the hope for continued success. Proposed this day, the 24th of May, 2023.
Thanks, Mr. Jean. Appreciate the work that you do as the advisor to the newspaper, turning it into an award-winning, state-recognized publication. So thank you to you and your students. Moving on to the next item, I'd like to, first of all, thank school committee member Mr. Chuck Pollock, who made us aware of some achievements of the high school wrestling team. And I would like to invite Mr. Coach Rich Torty to the podium for some student recognitions. And again, they will be presented with citations from the North Providence School Committee. Coach Torty.
Here's the boys. Okay. And here are their certificates. Okay. They should be in order.
Okay, I'm very honored and thrilled to present these awards to 5 of our wrestlers that had some tremendous achievements this year. Thank you for the school committee for presenting these awards to the boys. Superintendent Goho and Assistant Superintendent Seitzing, thank you very much. Our first wrestler that I'm going to call up, he placed 2nd in the state this year. He won just about every tournament that we wrestled in this year, and his only loss was in the state finals. So he's 2nd in the state at 106 pounds. I'd like to invite William So up. I'll read the first one. North Providence School Committee offers its sincerest congratulations and best wishes for continued success to William So, North Providence High School, Division I State Wrestling Championship, 2nd team All-State. Our second citation is for Makai So. Makai ended up 4th place at the state tournament. He also placed his junior year, so this is his 2nd time placing, as well as his brother, his twin brother. So Makai placed 4th place in the state tournament. Again, North Providence School Committee offers its sincere congratulations and best wishes for continued success to Makai So, North Providence High School, Division I State Wrestling Championship, 4th place in the state, 113 pounds. My next wrestler is not here today, so I'm going to have Makai accept it for him. So it's Miguel Santana, and Miguel had a tremendous year this year at 145 pounds. He actually upset a bunch of wrestlers that he had lost to early in the year, got himself on the podium, and he placed 4th place in the state at 145 pounds. So. And my next 2 wrestlers are state champions. We have a freshman state champion. This boy is William Francis. He placed 1st in the state championship this year. I had 3 heavyweights. I had 3 220-pound wrestlers this year. I said, all right, one of you guys is going to be the scorer. The other 2 are going to have to be non-scorers. And Will said to me, "How about if I go heavyweight?" I said, "You only weigh 209 pounds. Well, sure you want to go heavyweight?" And he said, "Sure, I'll do it, coach." Not only did he go heavyweight, he won the entire tournament. So, congratulations, Will Francis. Looks like he's even lighter than 209 pounds now. Our last state champion is my 152 pounders. This year I had a very competitive team. We placed eighth in the state. We had a tremendous season. At 152 pounds, we just had two guys that were battling against each other all year. And one would be varsity one week, one would be varsity the next week. We get to the end of the season, and I said, I'm not reffing this last wrestle off. I actually hired a referee to come in and do the last wrestle off because every wrestle off was 1 point overtime. So Gonzalo Poole ended up not. He didn't win that wrestle off, but he went to the junior varsity state championship, and he won the entire tournament at 152 pounds as a sophomore. So we've got 2 years left for him to come back and win the state championship in the varsity states as well. Gonzalo Poole.
Okay, thank you, Coach Torti, and congratulations to our student award winner. So, as we move now to some district-wide recognition of our staff, just a couple of things I'd like to announce. In the consent agenda, we approved the retirement of longtime special education teacher effective at the end of the school year, Mrs. Joanne Lynch. So I'd like to recognize her efforts and her years of service to North Providence, and on behalf of the school committee, wish her good luck in her future endeavors. Also, I will be announcing the teachers of the year for each of our schools, and then we will have the grand announcement of the district teacher of the year at the end. And I do want to recognize one of our principals, our new principal, who has arrived back home. She is now the principal of McGuire Elementary School. She's here tonight. She started May 1st. So I just want to recognize Miss Alicia Lisi. Thank you, Ms. Lisi. So I will announce the district teacher of the year at the end, but I first need to acknowledge the school teachers of the year. Congratulations are in order for all of you who will be named for being elected by your peers within your building to represent your particular school. When I call your name, you will come up and you will receive a citation from Chairman Pilata, and then we will ask all of our school teachers of the year to stand to the side, and then we will make the big reveal at the end. First, the teacher of the year representing Wayland Elementary School. This is Deidre Donovan. Come on up, Deidre. From Stephen Only Elementary School, which is represented by Mr. Pasito, who is here this evening. Mr. Pasito, why don't you stand up as well? I don't know if all of the school committee members know who you are as well, but you've been our principal at Stephen Only for going on 2 years now. Thank you for coming. All of our principals as well who are here this evening. So representing Stephen Only Elementary School, Ms. Karen Pezza. Congratulations. Okay, our next award winner from Ritchie Middle School, just coming off of the bus from a field trip. Literally arriving at 6:30 at Ritchie Middle School, Kimberly DeTusa. Representing North Providence High School, English teacher, Mr. Dean Garganese. Oh, okay. Dean is also a baseball coach, and he is at a baseball game. Thank you. Representing McGuire Elementary School, Mrs. Rebecca Carmosino. Before we move on to the next one, I do want to also thank and recognize Mrs. Lorraine Moschella, who served as the interim principal at McGuire Elementary School. Did a tremendous job. It was so great to have you with us. From Greystone Elementary School, Miss Kerry Mora. From Centerdale Elementary School, Miss Amanda Vellucci. From Birchwood Middle School, mathematics teacher, Mr. Kenneth Card. Okay, and let me just also recognize Wayland Principal, Miss Amanda Donovan, and Greystone Principal, Miss Jen Quattrucci, to our left, standing next to the side table. Thank you. Okay, with that, Dr. Pilata will present a plaque and a certificate to the District Teacher of the Year. The plaque reads, "In recognition of and appreciation of your outstanding devotion and contributions to the education of the students of North Providence, the North Providence School Department Teacher of the Year for 2023 is Kimberly DeTusa." Okay, just to read some information about the 2023 District Teacher of the Year. Also, I'd like to recognize Miss Donna Hanley. I know she's here somewhere. The principal, oh, there she is, principal of Centerdale Elementary School. Thank you for coming down as well. Some information about Kimberly DeTusa. She's certified in elementary education, middle school science, middle school social studies, and school counseling. Admired by colleagues, students, and families for the passion she has for science, her leadership, and positive demeanor, earning her numerous compliments and accolades from students and staff and families. As the science content leader, she demonstrates strong leadership skills, collaborates well with all stakeholders, and has great knowledge of her content area. She is an inspirational educator who goes above and beyond for her students so that they are successful in and out of the classroom. She teaches with creativity and has an innate ability to connect what she is teaching to the real world. She is active in the community and the school, including participating in after-school activities, organizing 8th grade events and activities, coaching softball and girls basketball, and she engages in professional development as a participant and a science content leader. So while we are very lucky in North Providence to have many candidates who could be building and district teachers of the year for 2023, we congratulate Kimberly DeTusa as our representative.
I don't have a script in front of me, but I'm just going to speak from the heart. I think all teachers do a great job. And I think in today's day and age, teachers are challenged every day in the classroom. And It certainly is much more challenging today in the classroom than over the last 20 years. So congratulations to the entire staff in North Providence, but a special congratulations to the nominees and to Kimberly. I think it's a great honor when you're recognized by your colleagues. That's a tremendous honor. I thank all the people that participated in this process to select these individuals who achieved above and beyond what they're normally asked to do every day. So on behalf of the school committee, we greatly thank you for all your hard work, your commitment, and your dedication to kids. I've always said this. I've been in education for 53 years, but I said it from day one. I think the most influential job, the most challenging job, is that of being a teacher. Because you influence kids every day. And people really don't know how much you really influence kids every day. And you could have a tough year, but it only takes that one smile from that one child to make you want to do it over and over and over again. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what keeps everybody in education going. So, again, on behalf of the committee, thank you very much.
I'd like to thank the hard work that went into this process by Mrs. Seitzinger, Assistant Superintendent, and her committee of principals and administrators. And I think we would like to have the candidates line up right in front for a group photo. If you can just come down here. Come right down here. Again, congratulations to our award winners. And with that, teachers and students, the rest of the meeting is not as exhilarating, so feel free. We would not be offended if you wanted to go and celebrate your awards, and we can conduct the rest of the meeting. We'll just take a moment. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'm very happy to have with us from Studio J, Mr. Philip Conte, and from who's our architect, and also from Studio J, also from the school construction project from left field, Mr. Chris Spiegel. So Mr. Conte has a presentation, and then he's going to be assisted by Mr. Spiegel, and then after their presentation, I will ask for a motion and approval from the committee on this item.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I have a brief presentation with a very short agenda. We do want to review the projects with you, tell you what we've completed to date, review our schedule, and discuss next steps. So there are two parts to this project. The first is the administrative addition and athletic support component. That is an addition to the high school that does have group restrooms, storage and concessions, and on the lower level, and on the upper level is the district administration that has your requisite offices, conference rooms, and file storage. This is a floor plan of the lower level. You'll see the existing concrete walk that is currently in place. We're going to be incorporating that into the project. At this lower level is men and women's restroom, family restroom, storage facilities for athletics, concessions, and ticketing. The upper level is the administration component with the offices, conference rooms, file storage, etc. This level is smaller in square footage than the existing space that they're currently occupying. That's because this is a little bit more of efficient space. We're able to make things a little bit more compact. This is a rendering as if you're coming from Smithfield, going to the high school, which is in the background of this image. And this is an image if you're going down the existing concrete walkway to the bleachers. The second part of the project is the renovations to the auditorium, where we're looking to replace the seating, improve the finishes, and enhance the audiovisual components. This is part of a FEI grant that was awarded from RIDE School Building Authority. This is your existing high school auditorium. And when it's complete, this is a rendering of the completed auditorium with new finishes, new seating, and new lighting. So the tasks that we have completed to date thus far, we've conducted field surveys, we've conducted programming meetings, we've developed the schematic design and documentation that we're seeking a motion to submit to the RIDE portal this evening. We've started to look at value engineering. The building was originally 14,000 square feet. We were able to revise that down to below 12,000 square feet. We've conducted some preliminary cost estimating, and that continues throughout the entire project. And we've identified those long lead time items that we want to start procuring now so that they're ready for the project completion. So the next steps is the action item that the superintendent referenced. We will be continuing to document and price the project, explore additional value engineering items as necessary, develop those early release packages so that we can hedge against the long lead time items. I do anticipate coming back for additional RIDE submissions in June and July. We have to do this 3 times. There is an anticipated start of construction around July. Chris and I are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yes, just
So I'll take the first part. There's a very oh sorry. So there's a very strict funding deadline for the FEI grant that requires all work to be substantially complete by June 30th of next year. So that's going to be the priority for us in making sure that work is well under construction. Our plan is to hit the school as soon as school opens, to get our school closes, I should say, to get our crews in there and do all of the demolition, all the dusty, noisy work, get that done over the summer when there aren't any students in session, so that when students come back, we can be incredibly efficient and manage those tasks during the school year with limited disruption to your operations at the high school. There's a little bit more flexibility on the addition project, and I think it's critical for us to get that project right. It's a much more, the scope is a lot deeper than the auditorium project, so we have a little bit more time to dive in with the architects and the engineers and make sure that you guys are getting the best value and getting the best reimbursement value for the project. So having said that, we still plan on getting into both projects being complete around June 30th.
Any other questions? We've been notified today that the Board of Education has approved Stage 1 application. So that's the next step in the process. Now the next step is General Assembly approval.
No, I believe you have received some documentation that the school committee and the administration needs to execute, but for all intent and purpose, your MOA has been approved by the Council on Elementary and Secondary Education. You've already have your bond approval as well, so you are on the track through design and construction.
You've cleared all of those sort of regulatory hurdles that we need to get through, and the great, oh, sorry, and the best part about it is RIDE did not decrease. You got every single penny that you guys asked for, so which is rare coming out of RIDE.
Yeah, I was going to say it's very unusual, and that's a credit to both of you, your organization, Studio Jade, and Left Field for the efficiency and excellent communication and planning of our submission so far.
Thank you.
Thank you for the update. Very good.
Okay,
so
so
we're on track.
We are.
Thank you.
So with that, I would request from the committee a motion to recommend the schematic design submission to the RIDE School Building Authority for the athletic field support spaces with district administration addition and auditorium renovation project.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Dr. Plata, and with the consent of the committee, before I move to special education update, I would just ask under request to address the committee, we have a considerable amount of business before we get to that. And so we do have two gentlemen here from the Rhode Island Schools Recycling Club. So with the consent of the committee, I would ask to move them up for their brief presentation.
Granted.
Okay, gentlemen, come on up.
See, I'm gonna get the slideshow going here. So my name is Jim Corwin, and this is my colleague Warren Heyman, and we are the Rhode Island Schools Recycling Club. We have just finished a 3-year pilot that was funded by the DEM and the EPA to work with schools to find ways to reduce food waste. And Birchwood was our first school, and we're really proud of the results at Birchwood. And the USDA currently has a grant available to school districts and or municipalities. And so the reason we're here tonight is to give you an idea about our program and to ask permission to write a USDA grant for the school district of North Providence to do all of the schools in the district. And that has a number of benefits for us. We've never done a whole school district before. And so we'll talk about that a little bit, and we'll try to move this right along. So we have a problem with food waste. I'm sure everybody here is aware of it, but we waste way too much food. Between 35 and 40% of the food that is grown in our country gets wasted. It's bad for the environment. And 1 in 4 families in Rhode Island is food insecure. In 2019, my organization did an assessment of public schools in Rhode Island. We did 15 food waste audits in 3 different districts, urban, rural, and suburban, and determined that about 2,500 tons of food goes to the landfill every year. The startling statistic was that 388 tons of that is perfectly good food. It's milk, yogurt, cheese, whole fruit, bananas, the equivalent of about 600,000 meals. In January of this year, legislation was passed that is asking all schools to begin to separate their waste and divert food waste away from the landfill, and at the same time to collect food that is perfectly good and either donate it to a local food bank or to redistribute it within the school. So when we go into a school, the first thing we do is create awareness about food waste. We have resource recovery come in and do a big presentation for the entire school. Then we sit down with the lunch staff and the custodians and the faculty members who are going to be anybody whose job intersects with our project. We sit down and talk to them about how we're going to do this and make sure we get their advice so that they're brought into the process. We train students how to monitor sorting stations and measure lunchroom waste. We divert food scraps from the landfill. We collect and redistribute share table food for hungry students and food insecure families. And then we work on ways to do the more difficult project of preventing food waste from happening. This is Birchwood. This is a very low-tech sorting station. We bring a refrigerator in. The first station, Warren, I'm going to let you talk about this because this is a little bit of your domain.
Sure, thank you. So before we show up, as you probably know, what happens is the students go through the line. The lunch ladies pile a lot of food on their plate. They may or may not eat what they're supposed to be eating. And at the end of the meal period, they take the entire tray and toss it into a garbage can. And that's got unopened milks. It's got unopened bananas, oranges, cheese sticks, along with normal trash. So we set up these stations starting on the left. And behind each one of those stations would be a student ranger in an elementary school or a student captain in a middle school or high school. On the left is the share table. So the student behind that would look at the tray and say, wait a minute, that's an unopened milk, that's an unopened banana, that's a cheese stick or some healthy, edible food. They take that. The next little bucket to the right is the liquid bucket. So just like in our kitchens at home, they pour the liquids into that bucket instead of putting it into the trash and taking it to the landfill. The next bin, the student behind that, that's the recycle bin. And so the milk cartons, the juice cartons, if the kid comes in with a sandwich from home that's wrapped in aluminum foil, that goes into the recycle bin. The next is the trash bin. So for the most part, it's plastic. I should tell you, we reduced the amount of trash in the cafeteria by about 80%, going to the landfill, about 80%. Then the next bin is the compost bin. So if you eat it, the compost bin will take it, and that gets collected by an organics hauler, is converted into compost, and at the end of the school year, they donate back 200 pounds of good compost to every school to use in their gardens or what have you. And then on the last thing is that table there, and that's where the students would then stack their trays. So it reduces the amount of food waste considerably. And then that's the refrigerator that we buy. We usually put a sign on refrigerators in English and Spanish that says, free food if you're hungry and will eat it, you can take it. And often the after-school programs are in the same lunchroom, so you got kids taking stuff out of that as well. So we recruit student rangers. This is at the dual language school in Providence. On the right-hand side are the student captains and rangers. This is at MLK school. Again, you can see the students interacting with each other, making sure that everybody does it right. Oh, wait, go back one. So we also recruit parents if there's an active PTO or parents that are interested in it. So the woman on the left is a parent who comes in and volunteers during the lunch period to work with the student captains. The kids on the left are the captains, and the kids on the right are sorting their trash. Even the assistant principal, that's Maria, who's talking to her rangers there. I think we actually reduced any kind of rodent problem or smell problems because the food gets put in compostable bags. It gets put in special totes like this one you see here, and then we contract with Bootstrap Compost, which is a local compost collector who takes the trash, the compost or food trash to their digester in Johnston. This is an example of the amount of food. I mean, a lot of food gets wasted. And initially, we were really taking it to food pantries and then realized that there's a lot of kids and families who are hungry in the schools. And so we figured out methods to get it back to the kids in the schools, or like on a Friday, we fill up backpacks and they take it home for the weekend. This is back to you, Jim.
Yeah, and so in the first year we work with the school, we work on diverting and recovering food. In the second year, we work on reducing. And this is Birchwood's STEM teacher, Katie Bowers. And we did a zero waste day there where we encouraged all of the students that day to not take more than they were going to eat. And we reduced waste to next to nothing. But we measure with the students every month. That was the zero waste day. We also recognize students. We do a recognition program. That's Terry Gray, the director of the DEM. He comes in and we award a big plaque to the students, and we give certificates to all of the different rangers. It's really important that all the stakeholders are involved. And as you can see, this is at Birchwood, Nathan Bishop Middle School in Providence. We've got the teachers, we have parents, we have the students, we have the custodians and the food service workers, because without all of them, it doesn't work. And then we take them on a trip to the landfill so they can see where the trash goes and they can learn about recycling. And we even bring resource recovery into the schools to do a refresher course about proper recycling. At Birchwood, we started our first school. We started in the fall of 21. To date, we have diverted 8.1 tons of food away from the landfill for composting. We've collected 1,026 pounds of food that was redistributed mostly to the St. Thomas Church in Fruit Hill. And Birchwood, over the course of 2 years, has reduced their food waste per student by a staggering 46%. This is our dashboard that all schools will be able to go to the website and see what food waste is made of, and they can see how much milk they waste and how many food scraps they waste and what the components are. We let them know what it means to recover 1,026 pounds. It means you created 854 meals for food insecure families. And, you know, we've gone through some of the worst food insecurity in the past 3 years in this state. Then they take a look at their food waste per student, which is the food waste divided by the enrollment in the school. And the goal over the next 4 to 5 years, along with the EPA and the USDA, is to reduce food waste by 50%. As you can see, Birchwood is almost there. And then we show them what this means. And we say, Birchwood has reduced carbon dioxide by 3.2 metric tons by diverting, by 6.8 metric tons by preventing, and it's a total of 10 metric tons. And then we say that's the equivalent to the greenhouse gas emissions from driving a car 25,000 miles, that's around the world and some, or the equivalent to the carbon sequestered by 11.9 acres of forest. So they can see the benefit of what they're doing. So our goal and objective for North Providence would be to work with all of your schools, divert about a total of 60 tons of food waste away from the landfill. We would recover probably around 7 tons that would be redistributed. Our goal is to reduce food waste per student by 50% and then make the program cost neutral for schools. One of the reasons we're really interested in working with the district is because the hauler agreements are tied up with the municipalities. If we had an entire district and we could sit down with the mayor or whoever renegotiates that contract for the haulers, we can say to the landfill hauler, we're reducing the waste that's going into those dumpsters by about 50%. Certainly you don't need to pick it up every day of the week or once a week. Maybe you can do it once every 2 weeks, in which case we're going to be able to save on that hauling agreement and make this cost neutral for schools. So that's really the goal. And if we can work with the town of North Providence. So we're asking permission to write the grant. It's not a guarantee we're going to get the grant, but Providence did get one of these USDA grants last year, and we're working on 4 schools with them. So we're asking for permission to write that and share that information with you. It would have to be submitted by the school district, and you would be our fiscal sponsor, for which there would be an administrative fee allocated to the school district. And so that's about the size of it. If you have any questions, or we'd be happy to answer them.
Mr. De Silva?
So I know in Cranston, one of our schools does it, and at a meeting at Rhodes. And at a meeting I was at Monday, the district and the teachers union is really behind this and wants to do it because it's being done for all the right reasons. And so my suggestion is I can put it in the form of a motion or just give permission to these fellas to write that grant. And I personally support this as much as anyone could support it, and write that grant, and let's see where we get with it, and then we could submit it on behalf of them.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Excellent.
Thank you for your
Thank
work in this area.
Great. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, gentlemen.
We
So,
coordinate with?
yeah, so as you presented, we have this program in a pilot form at Birchwood, been recognized. So we had been planning for this kind of expansion to all of our other schools. So this is a great opportunity for us. Mr. Ferroli is well aware of it. He has already spoken to our building principals to try to roll this out to our other schools. So your assistance will be greatly appreciated. You would contact my office, and then Mrs. Seisinger handles grant writing along with Ms. Casanelli for the fiscal agent. So send it to me, and then I will forward it to the appropriate people. So thank you for that. We tremendously appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you to the committee for moving that item up on the agenda. So next item would be item F, and I will turn the microphone over to our Director of Student Services, Miss Van Avery.
Oh, good one. Thank you.
I did not marry you off.
You're right. Thank you, Superintendent Goho. I will be very mindful of the committee's time. I know we have many other things on the agenda. So in front of you, I actually did up for you just a cheat sheet about special education, where we're at in May. And I will not read it to you, obviously. I know that you all can do that at your own time. But just briefly, inclusion does not happen naturally. And we have been working intentionally in planning for the success of all of our students. And so this past year, we have adjusted policies, building level initiatives, teaching practices, and really relied on agency expertise to expand our knowledge and create new and more opportunities for our students who are differently able. Through your support and guidance and ESSER funds and American Rescue Plan funds and LEAP funds, I mean, we've done some really amazing things in our district this year, specifically for special education. And just quickly highlighting Power School as we're moving from Skyward to Power School for special education. It's been a little bit more of a challenge than we had anticipated moving over the data, but with our new data director, we are working much more closer to the launch of that. Our therapeutic classrooms, we're getting there. We're learning every day and making adjustments and changes. The additional job coach at the high school has been extremely helpful for our transition program. Specialized classroom furniture. We've really done some great investments in our intensive academic support rooms. Special education mentors. Our 2 mentors are phenomenal this year, and we had a tremendous amount of new special education staff. So just really pleased with all the things that we've been working on. On the back side, there's some really fresh data. Literally as of 11 o'clock last night, I was updating this. So we have approximately 724 students in the district who receive specialized instruction through an IEP. I was reviewing this data this morning with a very wise person, and I look at this and I get really uncomfortable with the high numbers of students we have in each one of these grades with special education needs. And the biggest one that stands out to both myself and Louise is our pre-K numbers. So we have 84 students in our pre-K population that are on IEPs, and that's exceptionally high for districts of our size. So we have some work to do in that, and I just put on here that, again, Louise and I have been working very closely with developing a full-day pre-K for our 4-year-olds for next year as a pilot. We are still rolling that out, but we are really excited to be able to do that. The Department of Ed has been encouraging us to do a full-day pre-K for about 2 years, and I think we're ready to actually move in that direction. And then just one last thing is our North Providence CLAC. Our parent organization continues to be doing very well. We had a presentation a week ago, which was all about our support plan and how we're moving forward, and getting some really good information from our parents of students with special needs. So I just want to thank you again for all the things that you've been doing and the support that you've been giving our students here. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions?
Comment?
Mr. De Silva?
So I don't teach an inclusion class right now, but I did for the better part of 16, 17 years in 2 schools. And my impression of it is it gives all the children access to the curriculum. I always had in my classroom another adult, and a lot of whether it was the special educator or the teacher assistant. And a lot of times, adults have conversations and kids learn things. We would talk to each other, and I'd say, hey, don't interrupt us. You might hear something. But so if you had ever walked into my classroom, you never know who was special education, who wasn't. So I think this is the way to go. The school I'm in right now doesn't do it, but that's okay. But I definitely think this is the way to go. It has lots and lots of benefits. And the children, for instance, That program, I ran that with many special education children mixed in, and no one would ever know the difference because we did this in our school, a lot of recycling children run. So there's a lot of benefits to having them included, and I commend you for doing it.
Just a quick question, Cindy. Have you found an increase in student needs relative to mental health?
Yes, we have, both Louise and I. In fact, one of the things I put on the update is that we are in the process of writing for the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act grant, which is we could apply for up to $500,000 for the next 3 years, and we are in that process of writing that. But yes, very much so.
So do you use any of your ESSA funds for staffing to address that? I know they're only one-year positions.
Yes.
But-
Yeah, so we had increased social worker. We had a half-time additional social worker at McGuire. We had the SEL coordinator that was district-wide, so she was able to go out. Through my American Rescue Plan funds and IDEA funds, we were able to contract with an additional BCBA, a board certified behavior analyst, to come out and provide some additional supports because we were really seeing that increase, especially in our younger grades over the last year.
Excellent. Thank you very much, and thank you for this excellent report. Nice job.
Thank you, Ms. Van Avery. So the next item, as you know, RICAS results and SAT, PSAT results have been released. District accountability reports have been released. Mrs. Seitzinger and her team have put together a very comprehensive hard copy presentation that each of you has. However, we would like to just give a brief snapshot or overview, high-level information regarding our district accountability status. So, Mrs. Seitzinger and Ms. Van Avery.
Thank you, Superintendent Goho and members of the committee. I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. This is just snapshot data that we've presented here. So I just attached it to the data that I previously shared with you. So a few months ago, Rhode Island Department of Ed released accountability ratings in a different way. As you remember, before it was a 5-star rating scale, if you will. So they changed that, and I really believe that they listened to the feedback of administrators, principals, when we went to a meeting, and I think Cindy and I were both there. And we talked about how the data was presented because a lot of people perceive those stars as very negative. So if you get a 2 or 3 star as a district, you know, how does that look publicly, even though the district is growing and challenging itself to improve? So with that, we can show you the first slide. So this shows our whole district's performance in terms of accountability. And so you can see they even changed the colors, which I think was a great idea in terms of it's not red, green, yellow. It's now blue, indicating strong performance in that area, gray, mid-level performance. The deep coral is a focus area, and then that yellow is room for improvement. So it's just I think a more genteel way, if you will, of presenting the data and showing that, you know, we have a lot of areas of, you know, strength in terms of growth. And that growth score there that you see, so these are the categories, if you will. That growth score is highly significant. It's one of the most important scores that you want to look at in our district. That's really, really pivotal. So we're really proud of that. In the achievement, you know, you can see there's a minimum possible points of 2 points. We earned 4 out of 8. In growth, we have 5 out of 6. The ELP, which is the English language proficiency, which is we know is an area of need for our multilingual learners, and we're working on that and making some really good gains. As a matter of fact, we just exited 19 students this year from our MLL program across the district, which is quite high, and it's higher than 11 that we did last year, so that's significant. So that's an area of focus. And then the graduation rate, you can see we have 3 out of 5 points, diploma plus 3 out of 6, and then they have the student quality, school quality, and student success. So again, it shows we have 9 out of 15 points. So obviously areas of strength, areas of need, but again, just presented in a more, I think, objective, positive, constructive way.
Yeah, so if I can just add, this is the test results of the first year coming out of the pandemic. So this is very encouraging. When you look at the categories, we had one area of identified for concern, which would be the performance of our MLL students, which we know is a growing population. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the growth of our students and how strong that is, obviously it's in the dark blue, but you see how much of the bar it takes up. So the fact that our kids showed so much growth coming right out of the pandemic.
It's
That
huge.
really is a tribute to our staff and the direction that we're heading.
And the curriculum that we've chosen. So I thank you for that. So yes, this is 21-22 data that we're referring to. As you know, we just finished our state assessment, and we'll get those results in the fall. So the next slide just delineates it clearer in terms of our achievement data in ELA and in math, and then our growth. So you see the growth in ELA, that blue. That's where the significant growth is, and we hope to achieve that in math. So just looking at this, it just breaks it down further as to what I discussed earlier. And then it goes into student chronic absenteeism, which, again, we know is an area of need to reduce that. But with COVID and with post-COVID and coming back, and because of the mental health concerns, as Dr. Pilata mentioned, it's really something that we're working on across the district to make sure we're supporting students at all levels. You have teacher chronic absenteeism listed there, suspension, and then exceeding expectations in ELA and math. And then at the bottom, it mentions that we know we still have discrepancies in our students with disabilities in achievement and growth. So that is another area of focus, as we said, across the district. So then it further breaks it down into, again, the achievement for ELA and just in a different way. So I don't know if you want me to go through all of these slides. That basically, I don't think I need to. It's basically the same information we just presented on the earlier slide. So it just breaks it down across the district and the number of points, but it explains it exactly on the slide. So in terms of our participation rate for ELA, 99%, 38% of North Providence students were proficient in ELA. So this is the data that I previously shared with you earlier in the year. It's just presenting it in a different way. And if you want to go through, Dennis, the slides, that's okay. So basically, it's going through achievement in math, growth in ELA, growth in math, showing, again, those scores that we've already mentioned. And then it goes through some other scores. Let me go through the next one. Hold on. The graduation rate. And it explains how North Providence's graduation rate is a 4-year or base graduation rate, which is 90%. And then it looks at their 4-, 5-, and 6-year combined composite rate is 89%. And the Commissioner's Seal, which is relatively new, measures high school proficiency in ELA and math for 2021 graduates. We have 1 out of 3. So that's definitely an area that we're going to look at and continue to grow in. And then post-secondary success looks at those students who, from the 2021 graduates, what did they earn for AP credits, dual or concurrent college credits, and also CTE approved credentials. So we expect that also to increase because of the programs that we currently have in our CTE pathways that have been approved, and just the work that's being done at the high school. And then I mentioned the student chronic absenteeism, which again, 2 out of 3 points. So we're looking at, according to this data in 21-22, 31.8% of our students were chronically absent. So that means beyond 10%. So that's significant. That's something that we're looking on at all of our schools. It's part of what we're looking at constantly. We have schools have teams that work with social workers, psychologists, support staff to support families and actually make visits to homes if they need to. All of that work is being done at the school level. And then out of school suspensions, 2 points out of 3. And then exceeding expectations is the final slide. And that is definitely something that we're going to see. I do believe with our math curriculum, the Reveal Math K-12, we will see increases in this area as well, as we did in ELA in terms of growth. That's basically it. The rest is things that you've seen before. Any questions from the committee?
Please, just a quick question.
Yes.
Does RIDE do the calculations with the data that you submit? How do you arrive at the calculations?
They do the calculations, and that's based on our testing data.
The data that you submit?
I don't submit it. It's done at the RIDE. It's done by RIDE. Yeah, we don't submit anything in terms of, we take the test, it goes in through Pearson, and then they take the data. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But we did have them present the data to us as a school district, too, in terms of our accountability. Did you have any other questions?
Anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Okay.
Nice job. And congratulations to the staff on making a lot of progress. the year after COVID. Excellent.
That concludes the superintendent's report.
Next item on the agenda, school committee reports. Mr. Pollock.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I have two items. One, I wish everybody was still here so could hear this one. But on May 2nd, someone was recognized at the Rhode Island State House. School Committee Chairperson Dr. Frank Pilata has won the Rhode Island School Superintendents Association Paul W. Crowley Award for his achievements in education. The Paul Crowley Award is given each year by the Rhode Island State Superintendents Association to a Rhode Island citizen or organization who, in his or her professional and personal capacity, has demonstrated a long-standing commitment to improving the quality of education for Rhode Island children, as Crowley did as state representative in Newport. Dr. Pilata graduated from Providence College in 1970. He's been a teacher, a principal, a special education administrator. I see you smirking. I know you didn't know this was coming, but assistant superintendent and now superintendent. Dr. Pilata earned his bachelor's degree from Providence College in 1970, also attending Rhode Island College in 1971 to earn special educator credentials. He earned his master's in education from Providence College in 1972 and his doctorate from Nova Southeastern University in 1995. I just want to commend Dr. Pilata for his commitment to education over 50 years. I think this was a very well-deserved recognition, and we applaud you, Dr. Pilata.
Thank you, Mr. Pollock. You're making me blush. But I appreciate that. Thank you for that. And, 53 years in education. A lot of people ask me, how can you stay so long in education? And my simple answer to them is, if I had a chance to do it all over again, I would do it all over again. Because as I said earlier, it takes the one smile on that kid's face to want you to remain as an educator. I've always maintained that education, I think, is the most important job on the face of the earth, being a teacher, because no one can achieve anything without education or teachers. So I will always have the highest respect for teachers and educators. So thank you very much, Mr. Pollock. Appreciate that.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, this afternoon, I believe everybody outside the committee, we received an email from someone named Victor, at which time I read the email. I did speak to Superintendent Goho. I also spoke to the SRO Burlingame at the high school, Sergeant Pulio, and I spoke briefly to Chief Ruggiero prior to me coming to this meeting. I want to read the email into record, and I'll let you know my discussions with each of them, and I'm sure Mr. Goho can speak, because he also was in contact with the gentleman along with Chief Ruggiero. Said, hello, I wanted to attend the committee meeting tonight, but instead I have an email I'd like to submit. After emailing folks in the community about my concerns, the superintendent responded, and I'm wondering if the school committee takes a similar position. I pass by the North Providence High School in the mornings, and every time when school is starting up, I observe many students who walk and bike having to dodge high-speeding cars, sprint across the street like their life depends on it, and navigate the hectic area. Why are there no speed bumps, crossing guards, and other traffic calming infrastructure? The superintendent reassured me this isn't an issue because there is a few speed bumps in the parking lot, and that a resource officer directs traffic in the morning. And in parentheses put, I never observed this. Does the committee accept this position? If not, how can we advocate for the safety of getting to our schools? Surely folks like yourselves and the superintendent have some leverage here. So, like I said, I did speak to SRO Burlingame, and the SRO is out there in the afternoons directing traffic out of the high school parking lot. We do have speed bumps on school property. We can control what happens on school property. We do have speed bumps that were installed on school property. And we also have a light at the lower entrance to the high school parking lot that students should be hitting the button to stop traffic. Superintendent Goho said that they would reach out to remind the students to try to use that. Chief Ruggiero did speak to this gentleman. He explained to him that is a state road. We've advocated for safety on this committee. I know I have, and we address the stuff that happens on school property. So I just wanted everybody to be aware this has been addressed. Like I said, Chief Ruggerio's been in contact with this gentleman. I know Mr. Goho has, and Mr. Goho can elaborate to anything else that I may have missed, but we have taken precautions on our property. We can't control students crossing the street where they shouldn't be, but we do have that traffic light that they can stop traffic to use that crosswalk.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Pollock. So, yeah, as you said, I did respond to the gentleman that our property, we've done what we can with our property, which is that we've installed speed bumps. Because one of his concerns was speeding in the parking lot. The speed bumps have significantly declined traffic in the parking lot during the day and speeding. Mr. Ferroli, each school year has painted lines for traffic so that cars are going in the appropriate direction. Mr. Cicerone and our SRO and our school administrators are on the front steps and in the parking lot. I spent many mornings with Mr. Cicerone and the SRO on the front steps, watching out for the students and families on our property. But as you mentioned, and I expressed to the gentleman, it's a public safety issue that needs to be directed, above this body because Mineral Spring Avenue is a state road. There is a crosswalk, as you mentioned, with a button, but we will be sending home email blasts, and it's probably a good idea to do that periodically through every school year to remind students to use that crosswalk and that flasher, to make things more conducive to crossing Mineral Spring Ave.
Thank you, Mr. Pollock, and thank you, Mr. Goho. Item number 9, old business. We have no old business. Moving on to item 10, new business. Mr. Goho.
Thank you, Dr. Plata. I would ask the committee to approve the Rhode Island Student Assistance Counselor Program for the middle school and the high school. This is a yearly contract. We were very fortunate that this year, free, no funding for the district, but provided by the state to add a student assistance counselor for the middle schools, which is shared between Ritchie and Birchwood. So I would ask that this yearly contract, which has been reviewed by legal, be approved.
Second.
Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda, I would request approval of the 1033 Memorandum of Agreement regarding health care, which is contained in your packet.
So move. Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item, I would request approval by the committee. Before that happens, I'll just ask Ms. Castanelli to give some brief information. Approval of the Chartwells North Providence School Department catering contract renewals. Actually, this is, you don't need to speak to this. This is the catering contracts that Chartwells provides lunch services to schools outside of North Providence and financially impacts us. So those have been profitable and successful, and we're asking for those to continue.
Move.
Correct, yeah.
Motion made.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next two items pertain to revisions to job descriptions in the finance office. We had a recent retirement in the finance office, which has presented us with an opportunity working collaboratively with 1033 and Attorney Scungio's office to revise some job descriptions, primarily the payroll officer. At the recommendation of our auditors a number of years ago, we have shifted some job responsibilities, primarily supervision and administrative aspects of the payroll, to the appropriate administrator in the finance office, to the comptroller. So that is the reason for the the revision of that job description. And then the previous payroll officer, that job title has been changed, and the duties have also been modified to include some human resources aspects that do have a financial impact. So the first one is I would request a motion to approve the revised comptroller job description.
So move. Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is I would request approval of the revised payroll officer job title and job description as contained in your packet.
So move. Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is a job description for a new position. No impact on the budget, as we have repurposed existing positions for this position, which we hope to procure two. But this is going to be a tremendous help to our elementary special education program, as Ms. Van Avery just gave you an overview of the direction that we are moving in that area. Also, as we over the next 3 years build 3 brand new elementary schools, the coordination of our special education services will be hugely supported for our principals with this new position, again, of which we intend to hire 2 from hopefully within our ranks. So I would request approval of the new elementary special education coordinator job descriptions as submitted.
So move. Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is a revised staff attendance policy. We had on the books a very vague, outdated staff attendance policy. Over the last few years, RIDE has implemented a definition of chronically absent, and we also have an online computer program that manages the attendance of our staff. So all of that needed to be integrated into the staff attendance policy. So I would ask for approval of that updated staff attendance policy as submitted.
So move. Second.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is a new policy. It's a progressive discipline policy. As you know, since I became superintendent, we've been conducting a thorough review of our existing and absence of policies that we feel are necessary to run the district. One of them is this progressive discipline policy. As you know, there are a myriad of policies that we rely upon, including protocols and procedures to manage and run the district. And at times when we are unable to ensure the fidelity to those policies and employees need to be addressed, we would like to have some clear criteria and a process spelled out in terms of how building and central office administrators would address those situations. So I would ask for approval of the new progressive discipline policy as submitted.
So move. Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item, really happy about this, and our athletic director, who's doing a phenomenal job, Mr. Ficcacelli, is here this evening. He has really taken a keen look into our facilities, our athletic supplies, and everything that we provide for our student athletes. And one of the things that he has identified is the fact that the scoreboards at Ritchie, Birchwood, and the 2 gymnasiums at the high school are very old, out of date, in disrepair. They are also used extensively by our youth leagues that we productively partner with. So as you see in your packet, we had a memo from Mr. Ficcacelli to move forward with the purchase of new scoreboards using a vendor on the state master price list. And so we are partnering with our youth leagues and the athletic department with their ticket sales and their gate receipts, and the school department as well. Our portion on the school department, as this is an unbudgeted item, but it is a one-time purchase, so Ms. Casanelli and I have discussed that the share of the school department portion will come from our reserve funds. So I would request approval of these new scoreboards.
So move. Second.
Any questions?
Just a comment.
Mr. De Silva.
I'd like to thank the North Providence Youth Basketball Association for partnering with us on this. It's a financial, I think it's a great financial commitment on their part. I'd like to thank them for that.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Ficcacelli.
Next item on the agenda, and I'll ask Ms. Casanelli to speak to this. We are in need, and have been for a while, of a new time clock system, which would be integrated into our frontline management system. There is an upfront cost to this, should the committee approve it. The upfront cost, again, would come out of our fund balance. However, by going in this direction and integrating these services with the new time clock, the annual maintenance contract decreases on a yearly basis by about, I believe it was $16,000 per year.
15,771.
Yep. Okay. So $16,000 per year. So over the 3-year period, the reduction we have to come up with the upfront cost from our fund balance, but the decrease in the management contract over the next 3 years will pay for itself. So Ms. Casanelli, if there's anything you would like to add.
Just the clocks we have now are very antiquated. They're constantly giving us problems, and the company we're using is not going to really support the software for very much longer. So this system will allow us to monitor the people's time and punches in and out through Frontline, which we already use for our absent management. and it'll allow us to generate a report from Frontline instead of having two systems that don't talk to each other, and we'll be able to generate a report and upload it into our accounting system, which creates less errors and it's more efficient. So it just seemed to be the time to do this.
So again, just to reiterate, this item is not budgeted, but we will use the fund balance. We use money from the fund balance for the upfront costs, but the yearly management contract decreases by $16,000. So over 3 years, it'll pay for itself, because Dr. Plata had asked where the funding would come from for that.
So move. Second.
Any additional questions?
Smart move. Smart move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item, as you know, we were awarded a grant by the Rhode Island Department of Education of approximately $111,000 for new musical instruments. We went out to bid. The bid is enclosed, and I would request approval of the bid for the new musical instruments, all grant funded.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item, with the school projects, we shifted some of our ESSER funding that we had planned for the bathrooms at the elementary schools. So we are doing some renovations to the bathrooms at Ritchie and Birchwood. We went out to bid for the partitions for the middle school bathrooms. Again, this is grant funded through the Recovery Act, so ESSER funded, and I would request approval of the of the bid.
Second.
There's a motion made. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Last item under new business is consideration of the request for the use of the high school gymnasium from the young gentlemen, graduates of North Providence High School, who came before us last month. If you recall, it was directed that a meeting would take place between these gentlemen and Mrs. McGill, the high school principal, and Mr. Ferroli. That meeting did take place as directed, and there is a request for the use of the property for the consideration by the committee.
Can we ask, is it Marcus? Can you come forward?
How are you?
How are you, Marcus?
Good.
So the only reason I asked you because it said the other person assuming responsibility on the use of property. So we have a letter from Mrs. McGill, the high school principal. For different reasons, she's unable to sign for the support for the use of property. Just let me finish the whole thing before you, okay?
Of course.
Since last year, they've added additional sports to our offerings. The schedule of team practices also with the addition of the volleyball, the floors have to be redone. So as far as use of property for an outside organization, the high school and the middle school, like I said, were not signed off by the athletic director, the principal, or Mr. Ferroli. I want to try to find a way to work with these. We have 2 brand new elementary schools that both have new gymnasiums. I have no problem making a recommendation. Obviously, the rest of the committee would have to support using one of the 2 new elementary schools, with obviously subject to the rental fees, which are cheaper, and subject to any custodial fees. There will be no waiving of any fees, but the use of that one of those 2 schools are much cheaper. Also, keep in mind for the conversation that you had, without getting redundant with Mrs. McGill and the concerns they had last time, there'll be no loitering. Game ends. How many games a night would there be?
There's only 4. We have a 4-hour slot, 1 game per hour, and it's only 1 day a week.
So the game ends. Those teams that play would obviously have to leave because there's no bleachers, there's no loitering.
Now, in the meeting that I had with Miss McGill, when we went over it, according to her, the concerns were already, she was okay with it. And we have it, like, she was all right with us recording the meeting. We went over it. It seemed very, mutual, very transparent.
I wasn't there. I'm just reading the letter from Mrs. McGill.
Which is, yeah, that's what I'm saying is a little strange.
Right. Well, we're trying to work with you. I mean, we're trying to give you.
And I'm sorry, but for the volleyball thing, she did tell me the floors were going to be redone. She asked initially, I asked to go to the end of August, but she asked if we could go shorter in order to compensate for the floors being redone. She would make that at the end of August.
Said I'm speaking for
I know.
myself.
I
Speaking for
I
myself,
apologize.
I'm trying to work with you to give you a facility to play the games in.
Hmm. Now, which
So it would be obviously, our athletic director said, so it could either be Stephen Only or McGuire, one of the two gyms.
and do you guys know if either gym is like regulation size?
Mr. Feccacelli, I just asked you to respond. I believe they are, but Stephen Only McGuire regulation size basketball courts. Mr. Ferroli, I know you were involved in the building of them.
Well, that's where there will be custodial fees over time. I'm sorry? I understand that.
So that would be a consideration no matter where they were, whether we can get custodial coverage.
Well, I know, like I said, I have no problem making a motion to allow them, if they're willing to use one of those two facilities. Like I said, there's no bleachers, so there'll be no loitering. It's cheaper for them. And for reasons that, in the letter that was addressed to us, why the principal recommend use of, like I said, nor has the athletic director, nor has Mr. Ferroli signed off on it.
Excuse me. Yeah, I have the same information that he's talking about, and there's no acquiescence to you guys using the high school because of a variety of reasons that they said. Because, as he indicated, what were the other reasons, Chuck?
Well, the teams would have to use inclement weather. The floors get redone in sometime in August, I believe. Resurface.
And I did check with the school department prior to submitting the use of property, including the dates that I requested for. I was over the phone with the secretary there, going over each date and making sure they were available, that nothing was going to go on during those times. So I was sure that they were going to be available before I even submitted.
You put in that form of a motion, Mr. Pollard?
Yeah, if they're willing to, like I
Yeah,
said,
for
I'm willing
Stephen
to
only,
extend an
I can
hour
understand
to give you a gym to use.
Mm-hmm.
I
appreciate that.
I'm not going to go against.
School. Excuse me.
I'm
High
not-
school, almost $9,000. New school, under $2,000. No brainer.
And that's for a rental fee, or is that the
rental fee is a lot cheaper at the elementary school.
And it's new.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll make the motion. They have to be.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Sorry? Stan
I'm
Josie.
gonna speak for him. He feels as though he's being, correct me if I'm wrong, by your body language and the way you're speaking right now, it feels as if you're being told that this is like a one-shot deal, that you have to do this right now, or that is not the case. I mean, you can talk to your people that you have your other guys that are with you, your other board members or wherever they are, the players in the league, and find out if either gym is going to work for you before you make a decision tonight. You don't have to make the decision tonight. We're just putting it on the floor that those two gyms are available for you at a significant reduction in cost if you would like to use them. You do not have to answer tonight. You can say, I'd rather resubmit, I'd rather go somewhere else, I'd rather whatever. It's entirely up to you. You're not being forced to answer anything tonight. I just want you to understand that, because I don't think it's being told to you in that fashion. We're just offering you those gyms instead of the high school and the middle schools.
I'm just, I do, I understand that too. I thank you though for that clarification. But my understanding prior to our meeting, I apologize, Dr. Plata, I don't think you were here at that last meeting either. But it was mentioned at the meeting that the fee would be waived, that there was no issue, that the fee would be waived. And that was made by a board member. But is that a different fee that you're referring to?
No, there's a fee for rental properties. That fee last year, when you guys used it, never should have been waived. And we understand you were told by someone that the fees were waived, and you never got billed for the custodial fees. That fee never should have been waived. The only group that has the authority to waive a fee is this committee.
And that was I was told that's on record too, that another, that we could waive the fee. But if that's not the case, then I understand that too. But
So all of
I'm just
these,
going off of what I've been told.
all of these things are in our policy,
Hmm.
and so that's why the fee's not being waived, because that policy, which was established in 2013, has those fees in it. The middle schools, the brand new elementary schools were not built in 2013. So for $60 a day, that quality of gymnasium is, well, how do I say this? A bargain.
All right, I'm sure my team would accept the Stephen Only Elementary, unless I
And
can.
additionally, the policy defines who's exempt from, and it's youth leagues and right. So if you decide to use one of these schools tonight, fine. And if you don't want to, you just tell us you don't want to use it. But we're not strong arming you.
Yeah,
We're
Marcus,
just
like I
giving
said,
you your choice.
I'm personally trying to work with you to give you a place to play.
I appreciate that.
I can't and I won't go against getting a use of property form without the approval from the proper individuals. I won't go against that.
Hmm.
But I'm trying to find a way to give you guys a place to play. But like I said, last year that fee never should have been waived. Someone waived that fee that shouldn't have waived that fee. Nor is the athletic director.
So we're kind of like a rubber stamp when it comes to this stuff. It gets vetted.
Hmm.
It gets vetted by building facilities, the principal of the school, and the athletic director, if applicable. None of them were signed it.
So I will put that in the form of a motion. Just keep in mind, this goes for any event. There is no smoking on school property of any kind, no drinking. And when the game
And we have that. We did add that in our rule
I
book.
no, I understand that.
That was
I
part
would
of
say
the
that
deal's
any
conversation.
group that comes to use.
Mhm.
So it's not just you guys, even the games. So, like I said, I'm willing to extend that, or at least for myself, make that motion.
Of course.
Give you guys a place to play. Just try to abide by the rules, not have the same thing happen that we had last time.
Mr. Chairman, one more thing. I'll ask Mr. Feroli. This is all pending finding custodians to open the gym and stay there and get paid. Okay.
So I
There's a
will.
motion, there's a motion on the floor. Any other discussion?
One last thing, Dr. Plata. You do understand the last part of what he said, right? That even if you agree that you would like to have Stephen Only School, and you agree on the pricing of Stephen Only School, it all hinges on the fact that we need to have a custodian open the school up for you to have it. If we can't get a custodian to do that, then you don't have the gym. It's pretty simple.
Well, I mean, we were scheduled to start next Thursday.
We understand the day you're scheduled. Now, Mr. Feroli needs to find a custodian to open the school up for you, open the gymnasium up for you to play in, and then close it when you are done. So that becomes another
They're gonna
hurdle.
be there next Thursday till 10. It's during school.
School is still in session, so next Thursday we have a second shift custodian. It's when it goes into the summer after June 16th.
Right. Of course.
So after that,
Then it's pending.
well, it's a crapshoot. I mean, hopefully Mr. Feroli can secure somebody for you, and I'm sure he'll relay that to you. So you have your dates. If you have specific dates, obviously, I would give them to Mr. Feroli so that he can make sure that he has someone there for you.
Yeah, of course. They're on the use of property form. It's every Thursday.
Okay.
following the dates that I
Also,
list.
Marcus, between yourself and Lisa, make it a point to get in contact with finance, and Mr. Feroli will make sure that the proper documentation, the proper bills are paid ahead of time.
Perfect.
Whatever the arrangement is. But like I said, wanted to work with you, just give you a place to play. May not be the one you want, but you got a brand new gym to play in.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I would just ask that you resubmit the paperwork for Stephen only, and that we have the proper sign-offs, so we're all clear from the very beginning. Okay?
Okay.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval of bills.
Motion to approve?
Questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 12, use of property requests.
Second. I found out with this thing. Yes, Anthony made a motion, Rod made the second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We have no requests to address the committee. We have no pending business. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made, second. Any questions? Hearing none.